time, we'd like to open the meeting for the Finance Committee on April 2nd, 2019. We could rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We are recorded tonight by Area 58. Thank you. I see no big crowd here for public comment. So we have a continued discussion on the town warrant articles. And I don't see Mr. Malinowski.
I know he's here.
Are you jumping in on this conversation, or?
I can try to assist wherever possible.
Honest to God, I have no idea where he was going with
so, looking through,
I would see Article 2. Article 2 and so forth and so on, but I'd like to hear it from him.
I can go looking through the building for him.
He's probably down at the RDA. Can you?
Oh, yeah, he is. I can text him.
You can hear?
I don't think so.
I know I saw him come in.
He's in that room. Yeah, he's at the RDA meeting downstairs.
Oh, it's in the building?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go look.
It's in room 3. I know we weren't dealing with any money articles tonight. This is just going to be the stuff that we had not dealt with before.
Do we have an extra copy of the warrant?
Here?
Yeah, you can take this one, Shelby. No, you can't have that one, Shelby. You can have this one, Shelby. And I'll take this one.
So, I mean, reading through, it looks like Article 2 is just for us to vote on using the Roby property for the police station.
Yeah, it looks like it, but I'd like to have information from the town administrator as to where we're going with this.
Well, it says, in an effort to address some residents' concern, the committee is requesting town meeting to vote by hand count to see if residents are supportive of this article for a new police station as proposed.
All right, he's on his way. We'll give him another minute.
He was mid-conversation at the RDA meeting. That's why it's a little late.
You don't have to run.
I think I'm just out of shape. The stairs are too much for me.
They're getting too much for me. I know. I puff and puff down up and down.
Elevator.
Yeah, I really feel bad taking the elevator.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
Everybody looks at you like you're wasting all that electricity. Going up and down.
But if you need it, you need it.
Maybe they ought to put a manual thing in there where you pull the rope up, you pull
There you
the
go.
rope.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks, I got shanghaied.
It's okay. I think we're going to Article 2.
2?
Yes.
Which is the Roby property, and granting that for the police station by a hand count so that we know that most of the town is supportive of that. Is that my understanding?
That is specifically what the Police Station Advisory Committee has requested go onto the warrant.
Okay.
Any other comments? I'll take a motion.
I make a motion to approve Article 2 as written.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve Article 2 as written. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Unanimous. 6-0. Article 3, the reallocation of funds. You want to tell us about this, Mr. Malinowski?
I would love to tell you a little bit about this.
I'm sure you would.
Hopefully everybody's had a chance to read the informational summary, which kind of outlines where we are with this project. To date, town meeting has approved $4.9 million.
Sorry. Find it.
It's all right.
Actually, let me back up a step.
Thank you.
When this project was funded by town meeting at 4.9 plus the other, I think it's $155,000, it was always stated that we were going to have to come back to town meeting for additional money. That was enough funds for us to actually do the building. And so what we're looking at is we're looking at a building cost of 5.8. We're looking at an outbuilding of 700,000, and then site improvements of $1.1 million. With that, with this project, we're probably estimating the entire police station is going to be around $7.5 to $8 million in total when it's completed, and that includes all the fit out in the building, which includes the dispatch units and all of the furniture for the final furniture fit out piece. So with this, we've been incrementally growing the project. That 4.9 that we borrowed was the last borrowing that we had built into our budget to go forward and do. So I said, in the future, any additional funds are going to come out of savings from other projects or other one-time funds, whether they're free cash or whether they're other one-time funds. So with that, or projects that are turned back. So in order to keep the project moving forward, we do know that the elementary school, and I'm going to work backwards, is going to generate about over $1 million in surplus. And again, just for numbers, is that project was initially $67 million, and when we finally went to town meeting approved $52 million. Of that, we think we're going to end up spending $48 million. So again, it's significant savings on all ends, but we anticipate having about $1 million. Those funds are not going to be available until next spring. And that's because we have to close out the MSBA reimbursement process, and then from there, then we're going to have to certify free cash for second certification, and then we're going to have an April town meeting to vote that last tranche of money out to cover the police station. So that brings us, if you will, from 7.5 down to 6.5. So between the 4.9 and to get to the 6.5 is that we have these two projects that we're talking about transferring.
So we're not going to do the HVAC in the library?
Well, that's the two I want to talk about right now. Is that, first, let me talk about the DEP water line. Last year, we were working with DEP, and they were concerned that we were closing down a facility that had not been operating for at least a year or two, and they anticipated that we were going to have to extend the water line because there may be some groundwater issues. At that time, we didn't have any data that justified it, but DEP thought we were going to have stuff. As it turns out, we now have historic data that shows there is no need to require an extension of the water main. That money was put into town meeting last year just to give us the flexibility that should we have to go forward and do it, now we don't. So that $300,000 can be repurposed. As it relates to the $1.1 million, and Dave Sigentoff will be at town meetings on vacation this week, but he has a memo that he's written, and that number 1.1 is he inherited from his predecessor as to what the costs were going to be there. And with that, that included ripping off the entire roof of the COA building, and then to pull the units out in
the library.
To pull the units out of there. He has been working with some engineers to determine a different, more cost-effective way of doing it. So they're going back out for a new engineering study on that. But in the meantime, he has actually been able to keep the systems that are there up and running, because that's his specialty, is HVAC. Now again, he's not going to say it's going to last 5 years, but he's got it running for now, and it should run for another year or two. That being said, is he did not feel that he was going to be in a position where he could spend this $1.1 million today, or over the next 6 months, or the next 9 months. Matter of fact, the next 12 months. So his intention is that he's going to go through the study this summer and fall, reevaluate what needs to be done, make some decisions by the end of the year. Then we would go back to town meeting next year and ask town meeting out of one-time funds, free cash, or the capital budget to refund whatever the new HVAC plan was. So to your point, to your question, are we looking to get rid of it? The answer is no. Are we looking to actually pause that? Yes, because we're redesigning it in a more cost-effective way. So therefore, since this is borrowed money and borrowed at the same bond rate that was there, is that we're asking for this to be, you know, terminated, so to speak, and then have this money reallocated to the police station. That's where you come up to $1.4 million. So it's all part of the long finance plan for this, but, you know, I think what should benefit the finance committee is in many communities, they go forward and they just pick a number. Oh, we're going to bid $10 million, $12 million, and go build a police station, fire station, whatever it may be. Here, we kind of build things up from the bottom up, so we go back to the well multiple times, but it's not like we said this was going to be the price. We've told everybody all along
Oh, we knew that
this is coming along and what it's going to be. So that's the long story, and I can go into any more detail than you want than that.
But we're expecting to eventually be able to do the repairs and the upgrades that are necessary at the library.
That's correct. That'll be a priority next year.
Different technology, it could come in a heck of a lot less money, or significantly less money than this 1.1.
They're looking at mini splits right now and doing multiples of those versus redoing the whole system. So there's a whole bunch of different scenarios that we're doing because the technology's changed.
Sure.
And unfortunately, when that building was built, they actually built the units between the trusses with all the sheet metal ductwork that you just can't pull them out, because up there's all the different cross bracing for the thing. If anybody's been up there, you just can't move the equipment out of there. Even though that's a huge roof, it's a huge roof because it's a lattice system in there holding the damn thing up. Oh, I can't say damn anymore. It cost me 50 cents.
What?
Darn. I think I heard darn.
Darn? All right, good. That's cheap.
I heard about the memo. I didn't know there was a jar, though.
Oh yeah, I got in trouble today in my department, and I was the only one. That's a good leader I am. Jeez, cost me $2.
There you go. We'll get that new police station one way or the other. Anybody else on this? George, Bill?
No, it makes sense.
Okay.
I guess I got a question with regards to the funding. I understand we're going to repurpose these funds towards the police station, but maybe I'm just talking mechanism versus taking these funds in, I want to say, canceling the Article 5 and Article 3 and then a full town meeting warrant article for the $1.4 million. Is that another way of doing this? Or, I mean, just trying to show the ins and outs versus a repurposing, just say, okay, let's, for transparency purposes, put this money back and then reallocate out whatever we think we need on another.
So part of it is that what you said, yes, you could do on Part B, the $300,000, is you could cancel that, put it back into, and actually that was a free cash article, so you could put it back into free cash, I would assume, and then repurpose it.
You can't put it back into free cash and then take it out though, because free cash, you can only have a vote from free cash from the certified amount.
Oh, that's right. So it'd have to go back into that. So I take that back. It would have to go back into the pot and get recertified next year from free cash. If it was in a capital budget, we could do what you just said. As it relates to bonding, is because we did bond the 1.1, which was the last piece of the $10 million bond that we had there, is that we actually have to take a vote to abandon. And this language here is really not written for Part B. Part B falls under here, but this language is really written for the bond, because bond counsel wrote this, and we have to officially vote to abandon the project and discontinue the project. Then we can repurpose the money. But until you do that, you can't repurpose the money. So it's how the lawyers wrote the damn thing up.
Is this money?
You did it again.
Is this? I'll help him. Is this money already sitting in an account?
Yes.
This has already been borrowed, and we're paying on this damn bond. There you go.
Yes, actually, we just paid the interest today.
Sorry?
We just paid it. We made an interest payment on it today.
Okay, so it's for all intents and purposes, it's taking out of column B and putting it into column A. The money's here.
It's a very official process with our financial advisors and bond counsel. And
how we do that?
I ran this all by them, and they insisted that it had to be done this way, and then we do what they tell us to.
We expecting this to run aground at town meeting, or?
The interest rate doesn't change at all. We did borrow this. Part of why we borrowed it is because we combined a couple different bonds into one, which allowed us to get some very good rates on that before the market went up. So that is bonded. It's borrowed. It doesn't affect the interest rates at all. The only caveat is this is the only requirement beyond the legal language here, is that you have to invest it into a project of equal duration. So we couldn't buy a fire truck with this. We have to buy a 30-year building with this, which is in essence what it is.
And I guess the only question I have was, yeah, we had the 4.9 that was voted at town meeting. This 1.4 brings to 6.3, but there've been other allocations, correct?
There's $155,000 that was also no, 155 or 255, Meg?
I don't remember now.
Oh,
I'm just saying is that we're gathering these funds to meet what we think is going to be the expected cost of the fire
That's to
station
get to the 8 million.
based on the whatever new bid plans that we have or whatever the structure.
All of these pots together make
And
it
how
8 million.
close does this 1.4 get us to that number?
it was 255. So specifically in ATM 16 and 17, we had 255,000. Prior to the start of this project, we probably spent 20 or 30 of that. So say we had 225,000 left over before we started. Then you add that to the 4.9, that gives us a little over 5.1. So 5.1 is what we have today. Then from there, then you add this to it. And then also when we get to, and this gets to your other point, John, in Article 7, we're going to proposing to allocate $249,000 out of this year's free cash to go into that.
Gotcha.
I think that's your missing piece for a couple hundred.
Gotcha.
And I think now you're what, 7, 8, 7 something?
You need the 1.1 from the elementary school too.
Right, you need the
Part of it.
1.1 from the elementary school.
Well, that's the
Surplus left over.
that's the surplus left over. Now, what has to happen with that? That have to go. How do we do that?
That is a pending question with the Department of Revenue right now.
Because that's on a bond, right?
So
Well-
what we anticipate on that is, after talking to DOR, is that when we get that final receipt in from MSBA next January, February, for our final 5% reimbursement. So we have to spend all the money and then they keep 5%, so we always have to borrow more than we're spending or put more into it. When we get that back, then what DOR stated that they would allow us to do is one time have us recertify our free cash twice in the year. And as long as that happens before April, I think it was, March, then in March they can certify a second time for special cases. Then once they certify that in March, we can use that at our April town meeting and release those funds. So the process is check from MSBA, recertification of free cash, town meeting vote to reauthorize the 1.1 from savings from the elementary school into this project, which will be closeout revenues.
So this is really pulling money that we've already borrowed and money we have surplus, so that this, in essence, the police station is not really costing more.
We're not asking to borrow.
We're not
money.
borrowing anymore. We're not doing a debt exclusion. We're not taking money from additional tax revenue. This is money that's in different little pockets, and we're kind of recertifying, reclassifying it, and moving it over to the police station.
Yep.
Exactly.
I think, and I know in the appendix, I have some numbers out there for the police station. Appendix L kind of just breaks down the 3 buckets, if you will. And again, we're heading to 30% design, so these numbers are in flux. They are more conservative, they're more liberal than they'll actually end up being, because they're based upon a per square foot analysis until we get into the actual building size.
Right. And you actually haven't gone out and gotten, you know what you've gone on the high side for a lot of this, and when the actual bids come in, they could be significantly lower, depends upon the market and,
Right. Depends upon the market, a lot of conditions, plus we'll do some value engineering. And, I think the building committee has proven itself in this town much better compared to any other community in Massachusetts to our success of bringing projects in under budget. Because I know Bill Duggan's always keeping an eye out for us on that.
John, you okay?
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Just, is there a,
Mr. Duggan.
like a cookie cutter, you know, police station plans that you know, like McDonald's, they're all the same. I mean, is that something that
So
exists? That
the answer is there cookie cutter things for, and I'll just put out any buildings. The MSBA tried to do it for different schools. They've had good success. They've actually had some poor success with them. But having said that, is our building committee went to many police stations, and there was a particular theme they liked when some of them, which was a long linear building with a center corridor versus a square building versus a rectangular building, but it was long and narrow. And with that, there was one architect that designed most of those. His name's Brian Hughes, and that's who we've actually hired to do this. So we went for a tour of Lakeville, which is under construction right now. They just put the sheetrock in the building a few weeks ago. And our building is pretty much identical to that building. We have different configuration for some walls here and there, but we're using that design. And as a result of that, our designer actually gave us a really good rate on that too. So we're actually saving money by kind of mirroring what he's already done before, because it's been a proven thing. Again, we have modifications to ours, but it's pretty close. Pretty close.
how do they differ? I mean, it seems like a police station to be all for the same purpose. It's not like you're repurposing.
Oh, it depends on the size of the community, the amount of cells you need to have, what you're doing for drug intervention, what you're doing for community rooms, what you're doing for drive-through sally ports. All kinds of things can change that. So when you're looking at a police station, you have to look at it based upon the size of the community that they're operating within. In other words, how many arrests do they have, how many people going out of the station, and that puts you into a bucket. And if you have a bigger community, it puts you into a bigger bucket of buildings. Or a smaller community, like what's being done in Plimpton, which who knows what they're doing, then it's a tiny bucket that's there. But you know, with all of our buildings, we're just making sure they're cost effective and durable.
Depends on how many full-time police you have and how active the station is. I mean, Middleborough just spent $12 million on their station. So 7.9 million, relatively speaking, you know. In other words, I think what Michael's trying to get around to is that a station is not always just a station is a station is a station. Right. They all have their own unique.
Yep, just wondering.
To fit the community. And then you get into some of the architectural details, but I don't think that really makes that big a difference when you break it right down. I think it more is what you need, the services within.
But in essence, we almost did use a cookie cutter from Lakeville, and we were able to save money.
Correct.
So that's
you know, in order to make that work, Bill, it's like the state police used to do that, and you see some of the old historic state police barracks, they're all the same. And they put one every population of 150,000. They plopped one there, but it's the same thing. Boom, boom, boom. You know, if you're in California and you have county-type governments and they're putting in their substations, they're all the same. You know, wherever they do them, they might change the facade there, but it's all the same. Here in Massachusetts, we have 351 communities and 351 different needs. And that's part of Massachusetts. Everybody's got their own unique size community and have their different demands and needs.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems that the purpose of the police station is to do policing, and I can understand variation. I'm just curious, you know, not being part of that.
Beth? John?
Yeah, sorry. I'm going to go back to financing again of this. Just so I'm clear, the school came in under budget, right? We had some savings. Down the road, that will get the whatever estimates we gave at your taxes will go up per household, whatever the average value of each house. I'm going to just pick a number. It's like 280 or 300,000, roughly, right? Is that the cost of the school?
I think we got it down to 180, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, so that's 180. That still holds.
Yep,
that's still in place. That hasn't moved. Now, we do the repurposing, and now we get this $8 million loan out there. That gets approved. We build the police station, and then we start paying it. The payments are going to come in under our capital fund account. So this, I'm going to say that we're paying for this under the levy limit.
Yeah.
Still, because it's going through our capital plan, which has been the plan all along. Yep. I just wanted to get clear that people aren't thinking I'm spending more, I'm spending more, I'm borrowing
Nothing
more.
wrong. And if you look at that capital plan, the numbers there for debt service, those are actual numbers.
Good. Okay. So we are still saying we're building the police station under the levy limit, and we have a savings from the school, taxes. There's no variation.
Because we're not increasing the bond to $8 million, because a lot of what comprises the $8 million is funds that already exist. It's not adding on to the debt. That's why.
We want to use cash when we have it to pay for stuff. We don't want to borrow money. That's part of our financial plan. So whenever we have the opportunity of using money in our pockets, that's what we use. Yeah, but I needed, we needed the 4.9 to get started.
Right.
And that wasn't available in cash, so we had to borrow that, which was, again, our last borrowing, that plus the 1.1. So there's $6 million of borrowing, in essence, is what it's going to come into. And the rest is going to be paid out of cash and other one-time funds or out of a capital budget.
Is there any chance that the excess money from the school, the state will pull that back?
No. I mean, is there a chance?
Don't say
there's
no.
always a slight chance that the state could say we're not going to spend any more money for something, but this is out of the treasurer's office and it's out of lottery receipts and all these other things, and they're committed to it. They've never reneged on something they were supposed to pay.
Okay, so, and they wouldn't have any objections to us doing it.
No. And that's part of the reason is we know it's coming, we know it's guaranteed, but until we receive the check, we can't include it in here. I mean, Meg and I, we had multiple conversations with bond counsel and DOR. We're like, we know it's coming. We have a contract that it's coming. We know there's a time frame is coming. Can we just get the vote out of the way now and just move that other $1 million into the thing? No, you technically have to wait because the laws are set up that way. And we're like, fine, okay, no problem. But the mechanism that I laid out is the alternative. They said, but we can do this for you by waiting with that recertification of free cash the second time, and then bring that to town meeting.
Anybody else? I'll take a motion on Article 3.
I make a motion to approve Article 3 as written.
Second. Second, George. Motion made and seconded to approve Article 3 as written. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 6-0. Shelby. Article 4 is CPC. Article 5 and 6 is 8. 5-0. 5-0. I think we're on Article 15. Is that correct, Michael?
Way ahead of me. You're probably right.
Yeah, we've already voted on all the other ones. I cheated ahead and I highlighted where we've already voted and needed to vote. And the next one I come up with is 15, procedure for establishing fees.
Article 17. But actually, I don't know if you need to vote on that one. I mean, I guess you can.
The air rights?
17 or 15?
Oh, did you say 15?
Is it 15 and 16? You have.
Oh, yeah, 15 and 16, you're right.
Yeah.
All right. Did you vote on 14? Yep, vote on 14. Okay, that's right. I'm sorry. What you had voted on was a combined article
Right.
before. 14 and 15 were kind of combined into one.
Right.
Town council came back and says, no, because you're accepting a mass general law, you have to accept that in its entirety. And in order to have the selectmen vote to have this in a public meeting, you have to do that through a bylaw change. So let me craft a bylaw change for you, which is Article 15. So Article 15 does the intent that you planned on, but it had to be done in 2 different articles. So I guess sort of technically you voted on the substance of this, but not the wording of it.
Right. They couldn't, because and you would explain this to me when I asked you where this other one came from.
Right.
We already had picked up on Article 15, which was that's when Article 14, that's when Laurie Hinault came to us about the fees. And we had thought it was a good idea to raise that fee from $25 to $50 and let the selectmen go forward and set the fees. So the selectmen going forward and setting the fees cannot be part of the MGL acceptance. That has to just vote to accept that Mass General Law. Article 15 got written as the mechanism by which they can do that, which makes the process remain with notice and open and so forth and so on.
To accomplish what the wording that you guys
To
had
accomplish the wording of what we had tried to do at the meeting back in November.
Where the Board of Selectmen is the one setting the fees.
Yeah,
Or
now
approving the fees
Right.
versus just having
So
boards do
so
it themselves.
the elected boards, they would still be able to set their own fees, but this bylaw will also have them go before the Board of Selectmen as
Okay.
well.
And the Board of Selectmen will have to advertise it, post it as a public meeting, and then vote on it as they see fit. So this actually builds in extra safeguards and still lets us accomplish what we tried to accomplish.
When you say advertise via an agenda, right?
Yes.
I
Yes.
just want to make sure you're not saying newspaper.
Oh, no, 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 no. It would be on the agenda. It would be an open meeting. Anybody? John? Beth? Hey. We're all good? I need a motion.
I make a motion to approve Article 15 as written.
Second.
George, seconds. Motion made and seconded to approve Article 15 as written. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah, I already did that one at time.
6-0.
Oh yeah, you guys.
Sorry, I skipped the discussion part. I thought we were all set. Article 16?
So Article 16, we had a TOPS meeting this morning, and a little history when the town, when people are delinquent on their taxes, and after a certain period of time, they move into tax title. From there, it then goes into tax foreclosure, which is when the town actually takes over the asset. Once the treasurer has jurisdiction of the asset, the treasurer collector can go out and auction the property off and recover money for the town. At the same token, the town can say, you know what, we want to keep that property for many reasons. Recreation, conservation, fire station, or for economic development. With that, we have a TOPS committee, which consists of the finance director, the treasurer collector, the assessor, myself, the planning director, the conservation agent, the health agent, and the chairman of the redevelopment authority / somebody on the planning board, which will serve on both roles. And then we go over these properties and say, okay, if of the ones that have gone through the tax foreclosure process, that the treasurer collector technically owns right now, do we want to keep any of those? And so with that, we actually have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 properties that we're going to move forward at town meeting for the town to actually keep. Now, of those, keep or look to redevelop. And just to give you an idea of what we have one parcel which is all of the roads in an area that were under private ownership, but they went bankrupt, so they're now treasurer collector owns it. We have several town beaches that are in some of the ponds. They're small little parcels that people are using as beaches that were owned by different groups. We actually have the land where the fire department sits right now was taken under tax foreclosure, and when we first moved forward with the building, it hadn't completed its thorough review for the multiple years that were there. Now it has, so we're looking to transfer that to the town that we can put the so the chief has his land appropriate. Again, some more park beaches and town beaches. We do have 2 parcels that we're proposing be transferred to the redevelopment authority. And when I say transferred to the redevelopment authority, historically what the town does is the selectmen own the property, but town meeting gives the selectmen the ability to sell those properties for particular use. These 2 properties we think would, make potentially good sites for like a Habitat for Humanity type project. One house lot here and another one someplace else. There's some issues that have to go through that, but historically what the town's done is assign that responsibility to the redevelopment authority. The redevelopment authority goes to the permitting and markets the property to sell it, and in essence becomes the real estate arm of the town. When they sell it, then the money comes back to pay back to Treasury for what the back taxes were, and then the redevelopment authority keeps a little bit of that money for their future marketing and more development in town, and then the rest comes back to the general fund. So there's 10 parcels that we're going to be looking to move forward on that.
Is there any way that this could read the main fire department instead of, or the central fire department? We've got 3 fire departments, and
We'll put it down as
Somebody as silly as me would try and figure out which one of those that
Yeah. We'll make sure it's
we're talking
headquarters.
about, so you identify which one it is for purpose.
Yep. We'll put that down as headquarters. Again, I don't have the final wording for this article right now, but that's just what that article is.
You want us to hold off on the vote on this until the night of town meeting? when
I
we-
would say, yeah, let's hold off on that. I'd like to give, I'd like to have at least 99% of the wording there, and this.
Get a motion to table this?
I make a motion to table Article 16.
Does anybody have any questions on that?
Well, yeah, I got one was just on when properties do get, I guess, transferred over to the redevelopment authority, and they sell it, and then they, at least they pay back the town for what's owed, right? And then they take a portion for their operation to a certain point.
Mhm.
Now, is there a financial report that the town produces that shows exactly how the money's been spent? What did they receive for land? What did they sell it? What did they do with the money that they had left over?
So if it's in the custody of the Board of Selectmen and it's under the jurisdiction of the RDA, if they were to sell the property, the proceeds, which would be to recoup the taxes that the town lost out on,
Yep.
that comes into the town as revenue.
Sure.
So then it's in our revenue, and then that would be what gets raised or appropriated at town meeting through the budget process. It
But
goes
where
to
does
that
the
fund.
number come, where does the number, I think what John's also asking is where does the profit go? Where does that, what happens to that?
Left over.
So above and beyond the taxes?
Well, if a guy owes 10 grand in taxes and the house is ours now, and the town sells it for $100,000, we get our 10,000 in taxes, where's the other 90?
It's in the general fund, but I'll be honest with you, I've never encountered that situation, so I'd have to look up this. I don't know if it's a miscellaneous revenue or what it is. I've never encountered it, but it would take research, but it's going into the general fund.
And then it'll close out the free cash.
And then it would close out the free cash, yeah.
One-time money. So before Meg and I got here, is the redevelopment authority did do 1 or 2 projects with Jack Hunter before, and I believe what the ratio is. I think the redevelopment authority keeps 10 or 15% for reinvestment. The other 85 or 90% goes back into the general fund, minus obviously expenses that are took for advertisement, and then that then gets closed out to free cash. So we don't have anything recent to show you those numbers, but as part of the agreement, and it's a written agreement between the selectmen and the redevelopment authority, it specifies how those things are accounted. So it's in there from an accounting standpoint.
Can you try to get me the answer to that before town meeting?
Absolutely.
And if we look at the one we're doing for Forest Street right now, because the redevelopment authority has one property they're doing right now.
I saw that. Okay, there was a motion to table. Can I have a second?
Second.
Table made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Can I just,
Nope.
not too late?
Yep.
Okay.
You in favor?
What's that?
All those in favor? All those in favor?
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Opposed? 6-0 to table this. We're going to take this up at the very short meeting before town meeting, which will be our next finance committee meeting at the school. All right.
So the next item, Article 17, this is a new article, and the genesis of this actually started with the fire station is now moved to the police station. And with the fire station, in our earlier designs, we had a car canopy built behind the, designed behind the station to actually put some vehicles under there and keep them out of the weather. But as George remembers, we had to cut that out for cost-saving mechanisms, but the premise was there to actually, keep stuff out of the weather. As part of our new police station, we also have a canopy structure that's proposed, and with that is obviously going to be a cost associated with that. What is now in the market under the smart solar incentive programs is the state is incentivizing companies to build these carports as structures, and instead of putting on asphalt shingles to protect the cars, you put on solar panels. And with that, they'll come in and pay to actually build the structure, and then they'll actually pay to lease out some of the air rights, so you get a little bit of money to come back in to help with your electric bill. So what this is these are properties that town land that's buildings, where we can, you know, put not only the public safety that I mentioned, but also with DPW and the school buses, is if we can put them under a canopy, then when it snows, you don't have to clean off the buses, everything's ready to roll, it stays out of the sun, it prolongs the life expectancy of the vehicles by keeping them out of, you know, that Mother Nature issue. So this article gives the selectmen the ability to go out and put an RFP out to have these built, you know, for specific needs around town. Doesn't do anything to change solar in the town. It just is focused on how can we have someone else build these and use their money to provide a benefit to the town for covering our vehicles.
So the total cost comes from somebody else. The town doesn't pick up any cost whatsoever.
Correct.
Just pick up the benefit of the electricity on the other side.
That's the model with today's solar benefits. You know, the longer we wait, those benefits go down, so you might have to share some of the cost, but I think by getting into this thing early, we can avoid that.
There's a typo in the informational summary. About halfway down in that, however, it is anticipated the structures will be built free to charge, free of charge, I would assume is what it's supposed to say.
Yep.
Anybody else? Any questions on this? So nobody's rushing. I personally, I don't think it's a terrible idea. I just would hate to see it get abused so that we're looking at this on every town-owned structure in town. I've seen them at the MBTA stations and stuff like that. I mean, they're not the worst looking thing in the world. They got them in Plymouth too. I don't know if South Shore Hospital's done some in some of their remote parking lots and stuff like that.
There's a place in Norwell.
Yeah.
That has it.
And I mean, they're not horrible looking, but I don't think I'd want to see them all over town hall in the center of town. But you know, this is what's coming. Whether we, no matter what, we get on board or don't get on board, this is what's coming. We're going to have more and more and more solar. There's going to be more and more renewable energy. It's what's coming. Whether we like it or we don't, it's what's going to happen. So, anybody else on 17? Take a motion.
I make a motion to approve Article 17 as written.
Second.
You got to make that pen and ink change first.
Oh.
So you can't say
Yes.
as written. So.
Well, that's the informational summary. I make
As
a
amended.
motion to approve Article 17 with the one change of the structures will be free of charge to the town in the informational summary.
I second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm going to see if I can get Dave Robertson to talk about Article 18, which we're not going to do. The developer that's looking to expand on the airport property is not going to request an abatement. But what we're looking to do here is put an article to kind of talk about the future of garbage in the town. So let me come back to that in a second. I think the only other article.
So we're not dealing with that tax break for the airport
No, we're not.
at all.
Correct. The only other article we have, I think, is Article 29, is on the tax on marijuana. It was a 3% tax.
We kicked that down the road the last time.
Right. And let me see if I can.
Steve's here.
Yeah, he's here. Before Dave comes out, what's everybody think about this 3% tax on the marijuana? Anybody got something they want to stick in there?
Why so low?
Yeah, can we charge more?
I don't think so.
I think that is.
3% tax on what, the sale of it, or?
Meg, what's the bottom line tax on selling marijuana in this town? Do you know? Is it a 6.25% sales tax, and then this is in addition?
No idea. I mean, well, yeah, because it's not a food, so
Right.
Yeah. I think it's an
Well, does
additional.
it come under the meals tax if you buy edibles? I mean, this is where I'm
Well,
confused.
if it's edibles, it's a food.
I would think so.
I will have
So
to
is there a
I will
place in town
research
to sell
for
them?
you.
Not yet.
Not yet,
Just
because
if
it's
it
not
comes to
permitted yet. We haven't
I
done
had
the overlay district
nothing
and
to do with
stuff.
that articles, but I will look into it for you.
You know what? Why don't we table this and we'll take this up on just before town meeting. This will be one of the last things that we have to deal with, because it's not a money article. It's a marijuana tax, and we don't know.
Okay, is this Article 29?
Let me just check with Michael and make sure that he's okay with that.
I'm assuming that this is just something for the future, because
Yeah, I would. Well, we don't even have a marijuana overlay district
Well, I
yet.
think
They got to
That's
approve
what I was
that at
gonna
town
ask.
meeting, and we got to put all those
I
nuts
think
and
we're
bolts
there.
together.
Yeah, so this is just something to be on the books when and if we ever decide to go through that.
I would imagine. Mr. Robertson, how are you, sir?
Life is good.
You got 2.5 minutes, Dave.
I'll wait for Michael
Did
just
you want
to
to
see
talk
what
about
he's got
Article
to say.
18?
Yeah.
What am I talking about?
Yeah, we can run right back. You wanted to talk. Michael wanted to ask you to tell us about Article 18. Carver, Merriam, Wareham, refuse. I guess there's a placeholder. It's Article 18. Used to be the tax overlay district. Now it's.
Okay. You want me to address you?
That would be wonderful, sir. Seems odd to have you on the wrong side of the table.
This is the right side. Let me shut my phone off.
This is only a Board of Selectmen vote on this, no, Michael? You want the Finance Committee to weigh in on this?
Be nice to hear your opinion on it.
Well, it's for informational purposes, let's leave it at that. And if
Okay,
you
can I
wanna
take
vote on it-
1 second before you do that? Can you just tell us, what's this 3% in the marijuana? Is this in addition to sales tax, in addition to a meals tax if it's edible stuff?
Yes, so the state allows for establishing a recreation marijuana in any community, that the host community can charge a surcharge of 3% on top of the other taxes.
Okay.
So it's a marijuana surcharge tax.
All right, so can we table this until town meeting also?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Let me get that out of the way. Can I get a table on this?
Yeah, was it
Article 29?
I make a motion to table Article 29.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to table Article 29, the tax on marijuana. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 6-0 on the table. We'll take that up the night of town meeting also. Sorry, Mr. Completely went brain dead. It's been an incredibly long day. Mr. Robertson, please
Sir.
forgive me.
It's okay.
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 Garbage disposal.
Little trash talk here if everybody's
I
okay
love
with
it.
that.
You got your bucket now. I understand there's a memo running around
That's
that you have to put money in if you too much trash talk.
I got a full bucket. It's a long story. So, Article 18. Here's what our thought and our plan for this article was. I can see two of my fellow board members here, but
Trash talking.
trash talkers, as it may be. One of the things that is coming to the town of Carver is change, and it's going to be change in our trash, our garbage collection, household trash. And so there's many roads that are going to be in front of us, all of which are going to cost more money. The contract for the Covanta plant, CMAS, everybody knows it by, ends at the end of 2020, which simply means that we were getting free trash disposal there. Bring it to the transfer station. It was $10 a year to buy a sticker to bring all of your trash to that place. It's getting dumped for free at that plant. Contract goes away. We're trying to negotiate a new contract, but some of the terms that are coming up to us are like $75 a ton or more. You do quick math on that, or no, it's not quick math, but you do math on that, and it looks like, you know, it could be in excess of $150 a year for stickers. It's just beginning to settle in. We can do many things, but we've learned recently in some of the task force that we've been on that it's best to get all of this out on the table first. Get it out where everybody knows what we're doing, and then ask for advice and direction. So that's the purpose of this. What we are asking here, although we're still working on the words, is do we continue doing what we're doing, keeping everything status quo, keeping things, if you want to bring it to the transfer station, you can. If you want to have trash pickup, you can. That's one option. And the second option is that the town, or maybe not the town run, but have one hauler come around our town and pick up all our trash at some negotiated rate. Either way we take it, there is going to be a change in the way we do household trash pickup. So that's the purpose of this, is we're asking the town for direction. We want to let everybody know in a year and a half in advance that prices are going to go up substantially, but we don't want to make them any kind of effort if it's not what the town wants. And so that's the purpose of the article.
Will the fees be going up for, do you know, like the private haulers for their tipping fees? Are their prices going up?
I can only assume that. I don't know that, but the cost of running that plant, the cost of dumping off, it goes up all the time. And so they have to transfer that to you, or to the homeowners, I should say, not to you. But, so yes, to answer your question.
Because we're going to be faced with the decision is, you know, as Dave said, the status quo is you go out and you pick your private hauler, you've got a half a dozen to choose from, you negotiate the rates with them, and that's what you do. Or you just use the transfer station, and you know, we're not sure how long the transfer station is going to exist beyond a year and a half from now.
I'm sorry, that was an element I forgot. They're talking about maybe bringing it down to one transfer station. Right now we have two, one in Marion and one in Rochester, that we can bring our household garbage to. So bringing it down to one, it could be in Marion. It could be that we have to drive all the way to Marion to do the transfer. So
a no vote, and again, the wording is still being done, is basically status quo. Whatever you're doing now, keep on doing. The rates are going up. We're just letting you know that. A yes vote would be, and again, still work on the language, is that through economies of scale, is that we put out a town-wide RFP, and then whoever the lowest hauler is, gives the best price, is the one that's selected for like a 3-year contract or something like that. And then from there, then you would then receive a quarterly bill as part of your taxes from the town to pay for whatever that rate was. So instead of you paying directly to the hauler, you would pay the town would pay the hauler, tied into this. And you know, the hope is that through economies of scale, we get a better rate. Whether we do or not, we don't know. But what that's doing is taking away choice from the residents by us having one hauler by doing that. So this is a non-binding referendum. It doesn't make this happen. It just says, yeah, go forward and study it or don't. Yeah. And quite honestly, I think no good deed goes unpunished. So a lot of times when we're trying to help out with the police station and other things, you know, you upset a few people, so now it's like, all right, town meeting, what do you want us to do? Yeah, you tell us, give us some direction.
I think it's a great idea, just to put it in front of the town people and let the townspeople decide what we do.
All right. Well, I'd like to see the selectmen banter this around a little bit, and maybe we can get a motion to table this one until town meeting also quickly, please.
I make a motion to table Articles 18.
Any feedback from anybody on it? Because we are looking for feedback.
I'd like to try to get minutes done before we have to relinquish our seats.
Just guys, one quick comment. One quick comment is that I am involved in the committee, and we have looked at various options, and we do need help. We need suggestions from any committee that is willing to participate. But I look at it as cost savings. You know, that's what I'd be looking for. If I'm a resident, I do use a private hauler. I see 3 or 4 come down my street. I'm interested in getting my lowest cost. Sure. But it also has a factor of like wear and tear in the town. You hear these big trucks come down the streets. It's wear and tear. There'll be other cost savings that's kind of intangible. But I think it's worth looking at the RFP and trying to find out, just gathering information at this particular point in time.
As I've said in an open meeting to the selectmen, me personally, You might get the low bid for the contract for now, but we now have a new hauler because Dana sold. We're using Nauset. Geez, they're Johnny on the spot. They kept the same rates. They're right there when they're supposed to be, and you can pick up a telephone and call them. You don't get an automated system. So there's going to be the pluses and the minuses. We're paying like $35 a month. So yeah, we're paying $150, $175 a year. My next door neighbor likes his, go to this dump every Saturday. Well, God bless you.
Yeah.
I personally don't.
Yeah. That's choice though, and
That's right. And I like the choice. I like the fact that if I don't like Nauset,
Yep.
don't come back in my driveway again. I now got Joe's. And if we're married to a contract with Waste Management and I don't like Waste Management, now I can go to the dump, or what if I can't go to the dump? So I guess there's pluses and minuses.
Yep.
So I come in on the idea of having the choice, I don't mind loading up my pickup and going to the transfer
Either.
station.
I'll bring all my stuff to your house.
Huh?
I can bring all my stuff to your house and you can go make one trip.
I won't charge you.
Much.
I'll figure out a rate.
Motion to table
Much.
was made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 6-0 on the table. Could we do the minutes real fast, everybody? It's in your little packet. We skipped the last ones from the 5th. Thank you, Meg. Everybody read the minutes from the 5th? We'll take a motion.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for March 5th, 2019 as written.
Second.
Second. Third.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes from March 5th, 2019. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 6-0. How about the minutes from March 19th?
Was this the one that was held before the last Board of Selectmen's meeting?
Yes.
And I wasn't there, right? So my name's on there. I don't know whether that makes a difference or not.
You.
Yeah, you were absent at the meeting itself, but you came to the joint meeting.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't know whether that matters or not.
I'll make that correction. These are only the minutes from the meeting, because the selectmen's meeting would have been on their own set of minutes that Elaine would have taken, so sorry. Yeah, it says
wait,
absent,
absent.
William Duggan. It says you're absent.
It says you're absent right at the top.
I don't know why I believe you.
Shelby, we're sorry for doubting.
Present.
No,
Oh,
absent.
Oh, I see, absent, okay.
We'll do that in bold
I
print
just
next
saw
time.
my name and the date, and that was it.
Need a
I make a
motion?
motion to approve the minutes from March 19th, 2019 as written.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes of March 19th, 2019. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. 6-0.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Need a second.
Didn't highlight
Motion
that.
made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are out.